In the lab, with a twist of fate, the cheese doctor's here, it's never too late. With a wheel of brie and cheddar so fine, he knows every flavor, every design. He's got the cures for every craving, from creamy goat cheese to sharp and amazing. No lactose, no problem, he's got the fix. Healing with cheese, oh, it's the ultimate mix. Oh, the cheese doctor, master of the curd, spreading joy with every bite, haven't you heard? From Gouda to feta and Parmesan too, the cheese doctor knows just what to do. In his white coat, with a smile so wide, he's got the knowledge of cheese on his side. Aged or fresh, soft or blue, whatever you need, he's got the brew. He's got the cures for every craving, from creamy goat cheese to sharp and amazing. No lactose, no problem, he's got the fix. Healing with cheese, oh, it's the ultimate mix. Oh, the cheese doctor, master of the curd, spreading joy with every bite, haven't you heard? From Gouda to feta and Parmesan too, the cheese doctor knows just what to do. He'll stitch up your heart with a mozzarella hug, give your soul a taste of a cheddar drug. If you got a craving, don't you despair, the cheese doctor's always right there. Oh, the cheese doctor, master of the curd, spreading joy with every bite, haven't you heard? From Gouda to feta and Parmesan too, the cheese doctor knows just what to do. So here's to the cheese doctor, the legend so true. With every bite, you'll know what to do. Healing with cheese, it's a world of delight. The cheese doctor, making everything right.
Yes, everyone, it's showtime now. My name is Dietrich Truxes and I am the cheese doctor. I love this intro. If you guys want to learn how to make cheese, you are in the right place, because this is one of the cheese making influencer sites most important from South America and the world. Okay, I am competing with Gavin Weaver, but I'm just still a long way to go with him. He have 300,000 subscribers. I have only 54, but doesn't matter. We'll get there soon, okay? Because I know more than him for sure. All right, guys, welcome to my show again. If you want to learn how to make cheese, you're in the right place. If you're doing it commercially, or just because you are a cheese lover like me, you are in the right place. And if you have any questions or you want to share something with us, just be my guest and we will show your cheeses, your experience, and anything you want to that you want to share with us, right? I'm gonna make a quick show today because I have an appointment very soon in half an hour, so I reckon I'm gonna make the show really quick. We are 54,000 almost subscribers and carry on growing. Thank you all for the support. If you speak English, follow us every Saturday, and we will be here talking to you about cheese making and sharing the passion for cheese making. Right? Today we're gonna speak about. There are some new subscribers, several students, but they are in Spanish, so they're not relevant here for the English show. This is the English version of the show that I gave earlier in Spanish, but it's the same content, but it's in English, right? So if you want to, and today we're gonna speak about what causes the bad odors in home cheese making, okay, and how to solve them, how to prevent them, right? Home cheese making, and I'm gonna put the presentation here because I want to go quick, all right, and so you can see it, okay. Homemade cheese making is an art, and that brings with him tradition, science, and of course a lot of passion. I'm very passionate about cheese making, and often those who venture into this practice face several problems sometimes, right? For example, the development of unpleasant odors in the final product. These odors may not only affect the flavor, okay, to some extent, they also can affect the odors of the cheese, the smell of the cheese, which is related to food safety. It's also related to off flavors and stop counting. Okay, um, today I'm going to speak about this problem, about how we can mitigate this problem. As you might know, cheese is an Asian food. Cheese has been known for years, for thousands of years. Okay, and it has been, and the cheese has been appreciated in the diverse of cultures around the world, right? And we have the Italians are very famous. The French are very famous. Spanish are very famous for making cheeses. um, and in its production, every stage from the selection of the milk to the curing is decisive. Is very is decisive in the final result. And I'd like to tell you that homemade cheeses, as well as artisanal cheeses, right, made in small factory, have the appeal of being personalized. But this customization um, frequently comes with unpredictable changes into the manufacturing process. Okay, and these unpredictable changes might be the odor. Odor is one of the most common ones. Okay, so the odor in cheeses is a complex indicator of the biochemical processes that occurs during production. This is very important that you guys understand that. Okay, and an unusual or unpleasant aroma might indicate you that the presence of unwanted bacteria, unwanted microorganisms. Maybe it would be an indication of improper processes within your factory or within your kitchen or within your house, or maybe the use of not so fresh raw materials or deteriorating expired raw material. Therefore, it is essential that those who make their own cheeses understand all these parameters, all these factors involved in the aroma formation in order to apply all the corrective efficiently and effectively. Okay. Furthermore, an off odor, or rather a strange odor, or a piquant odor, or a piquant smell, can generate rejection among those who consume the cheeses, right? And in a commercial context, it can seriously affect your prestige and your reputation. So it's very important that you guys consider this when you are making cheese, right? So I'm gonna speak about some parameters that you need to consider when you are making the cheeses, right? And one of these parameters is the quality. Okay, the quality is very important in the raw material, right? And this is the first line of defense against cheese odors, right? When we talk about homemade cheeses, we generally refer to a milk, okay, which is the essential component on which the entire process is built. This is very important that you take it in an account, okay? When you make cheese, the milk must be as fresh as possible. Do not use, sometimes we use we have the practice that no, my milk got expired, I'm going to use it for making cheese. No, there is a saying that if you make cheese with an expired cheese, you're gonna get a crappy cheese. But if you make cheese with a good milk, with fresh milk, and the best quality milk, if you know how to make cheese, your cheese will be excellent. Okay, so this when we are making cheese, well, as I said, the milk is one of the most important elements, and the impact of animal feeding and rearing is very important to consider. The diet and living condition of the cattle or the animal that produces the milk, because it doesn't have to be cattle, doesn't have to be cows, might be sheep, might be cows, might be camel, donkeys, you never know. Okay. It will influence its composition. Okay, to ensure quality milk that provides the cheese with the neutral or desired flavor and aroma, it is essential to choose suppliers or production methods as well that guarantee the proper hygiene and nutritional handling practice. This is very important. Okay, let's go with the next one. The manufacturing process. This is also a parameter that is very critical. It's very crucial. So once quality milk is available, now that you are sure that your milk is fine, the cheese making process begins. We know that. Okay. And physical, chemical, and microbiological reaction will occur into the milk. Of course, you have to put the bacteria and all this stuff on all these parameters. And in which even a small error that you might make, okay, will make the difference in the final product. So this is very important that you consider this. One of the aspects that you need to consider is the pasteurization. You have a good pasteurization is crucial, and this is a process that pasteurization is a process that is looks for to eliminate the pathogenic microorganism or the pathogenic bacteria into the milk. Okay, how applicating we have to apply heat, and when we expose the milk to heat, all the bacteria will die. I'm talking about the bad bacteria. The bad news is that the good bacteria will also die, and this is when we have to feed the milk with lactic culture so the bacteria can reproduce again. The lactic bacteria can reproduce again. Okay, and this process must be very carefully monitor and control. Okay. Another aspect is the ripening of the milk. Okay. This fermentation process, without a doubt, is the heart of the cheese making process. Okay. And the correct selection of ingredients. When I'm talking about ingredients, I'm referring to the lactic cultures. The correct selection of this lactic culture is essential. Okay. And when we are ripening the milk, we have to control it rigorously. And the way to do that is to use certified cultures, right? And if we are preparing our own culture, which might be the case, we have to be 100% sure that our culture is free of cross contamination, free of pathogenic bacteria. Okay. Another aspect as well is the acidity of the milk. There's a proper level of acidity, which is translated into a proper pH, will guarantee that your milk is of good, that your cheese is of good quality. Okay, it's essential to monitor the pH when you are making cheese, and especially in the milks as well, because if you have the proper pH or the right pH, it will help to facilitate the coagulation of the milk. As you might know, the lactic cultures, they feed from the lactose and produce lactic acid. And if you have a good level of lactic acid, your cheeses will be protected, right? And if you guys understand how to manage pH and how to manage the acidity process within the cheese, okay, you can achieve cheeses with a good flavor and very pleasant aroma. The other way around, on the other hand, if you don't know how to do it, your cheeses will be crap. Your cheeses will errors in the at this stage are often related to unpleasant odors of odors, okay, of smells as well, and correct them will require technical and practical equipment experience. Okay, this is very important. Let's go with the next slide, right? And if, by the way, if you have any questions that you want to make here in the show, be my guest. But of course, you have to do it in English, right? If you don't know how to do it in English, you can translate it through Google, and I will reply to you in English, and then you can see see the response. All right. Okay, let's go with the next slide, which is the microbiological aspect. Right. Smell in cheese is, to a large extent, I would say, a manifestation of microbiological process. In other words, the smell in cheese is related to biological processes that are happening within the cheese, inside the cheese. Okay, and knowing which microorganisms are involved and how they behave in this environment. When I'm referring to this environment, I'm referring to the cheese per se. Okay, is essential to identify the cause of these unpleasant odors that are affecting your cheese. And of course, if you know these causes, you can mitigate the cause and come with a solution. Right? The presence of this pathogenic bacteria, or maybe any contaminating flora, can transform the aromatic profile of your cheeses. Okay, of course, if you know how do they behave. For example, performing regular microbiological analysis of the production environment and the milk itself helps to detect and correct the presence of this unwanted bacteria. Okay. Of course, before they negatively affect the final product. Also, certain cheeses varieties benefit from the action of the mold or of some molds, for example, the camembert, all right? But the unwanted mold is the one that we don't want. The unwanted mold, they are not appropriate, or the unwanted mold in inappropriate concentration will cause unpleasant odors into the cheese, and they will penetrate the cheese. It will attack the cheese. In general, these molds tend to dissolve the cheese from the outside to the inside, and the smell is very bad. It's like sometimes it's very piquant, so it's not pleasant. And we have to establish, in this case, environmental controls, right? Environmental controls, for example, the use of ripening chambers with regulated temperatures and regulated humidity as well, and the timely application of maybe fungicides or in any concentration, or the concentration specified by the supplier, okay, will mitigate or will prevent this contaminating molds, and therefore will mitigate this bad odors into your cheeses. All right. Okay. Another aspect very important that you need to consider is the hygiene. Okay, a good hygiene and working condition is essential in the odors to avoid unpleasant odors. Okay, and this applies for homemade cheeses and industrial cheeses. Okay, um, let me tell you that an unhygienic environment is practically an open window to microbial contamination. This is a must. If you don't control your environment, if you don't control your plant, you will have cross contamination for sure. Okay, so one of the key is to avoiding unpleasant odors is a very strict, consistent cleaning. You have to clean. You have to have cleaning protocols in place all the time. Implementing a well-defined cleaning protocol will standardize your process, will standardize times, will standardize your method, and in this case, you will maintain your environment free of contaminants. Okay, and therefore, of course, preventing the formation of these unwanted odors. Um, Another aspect is the cross contamination between one environment and the other environment. Okay, handling at any stage expose the cheeses to the risk of cross contamination. Um, for example, if you are, let's say, put an example, maybe your cheeses into the plant are perfect, but when you are transporting the cheeses and you don't take the correct procedures, if you don't put in practice the correct protocol to transport your cheeses will get contaminated during transportation, and the bad odors will be popping up, and your client will come with the bad news. Hey, my these cheeses smell like crap. They don't smell well. Please refund me the money. And this is when the problems start. And in this case, your client, for example, might be willing to make a recall, okay, to the sanitary authorities, and this is when the fines come, and this is when the problems come, and this is what you need to avoid. All right, if you're making the cheeses um, just for your home, also you need to be careful. For example, if you are transporting the cheeses to a relative, you need to you need to transport your cheeses correctly. Otherwise, you might all get sick, your family might get sick, and with all the consequences. And the worst case scenario is that you might have it might be in this illness might be fatal, which this is not what we're looking for. Okay, so it's very important that we have all these protocols in place to mitigate the 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 bad odors. The bad odor is an indication that something is not going right. Okay, the other another aspect is the environment. The environment in which the cheeses are cured, for example, is another determining factor in the formation of aromas. I'm talking about unpleasant aromas. Okay, for example, temperature and humidity are also two critical variables, because during ripening, the cheese is exposed to enzymatic and microbial processes that develop depending on environmental conditions. Okay, and the most important variables are, for example, having ripening chambers or cellars with environmental controls. Um, this is an investment that is reflected in the quality that will be or is reflected, yeah, in the quality of the cheeses. Okay, helping to maintain a balanced aroma within the chamber and within the cheeses as well. All right. Um, the ripening period is another important stage. Okay. And it's very important to consider. The key here is to closely monitor the ripening process. Okay. Um, Performing odors, texture, and chemical composition checks at scheduled intervals is very important that you put in practice. Of course, this all must be all included in your food safety protocols. Okay, in your food control plan. Um, this allow all these processes or all these protocols allows for adjustment to in the temperature in case if it is necessary, humidity, and also ventilation to ensure the cheeses to develop correctly, to develop harmoniously is the word. Okay, um, yeah, and problems, diagnostic and practical solutions. Okay, this is another aspect that we need that um, we can study, right? Identify the exact cause of the off flavor, of the off odors, of smell. Sorry, um, is the first step to resolve the problem. Okay, if we notice that the cheeses are smelling bad, that they stink, we need to find out the first cause of the problem. Okay, and we need to identify what is the exact cause. Okay, this involves both a systematic review of each stage and the application of diagnostic tools, um, or the application of the solution of the problem. Okay, um, there are various methodologies for detecting and evaluating the presence of elements that are responsible for the bad smell. Okay, for example, implementing a quality control system based on this method, on the protocol that you have in practice, will provide an objective and scientific data that will allow you to adjust the process in case in case that you guys are having this type of problem. Okay, which is the problem? The presence of unpleasant smell. Um, Once the cause of the unpleasant smell has been diagnosed, okay, the same protocol will tell you the corrective measures to be applied. Um, the system works. This food control plans works like a Swiss clock. If you have a problem, there is a mitigation procedure. So, of course, when the mitigation procedure is not effective, you need to monitor that. You need to prove that the system is in place. How? Doing microbiological tests. Okay, but in theory, implementing these strategies, either jointly or individually, will help you to maintain product integrity and eliminate defect and cause of these unpleasant smells. All right. Now, I'm going to tell you about 3 cases that happened to me so you can see more or less a case study of what happened. Okay. First one, I remember that one woman in Mexico, all right, she came to me and she was an amateur cheesemaker, but she wanted to go commercial, okay, and she began making cheese using raw milk. She was making um, queso panela cheese. I don't remember Oaxaca. I don't remember. Okay, very well. The thing is that she was using raw milk and she was milking her own cows. Okay. At the beginning, the cheeses were fine, but then she began to notice the appearance of the bad smell into the cheeses. And the bad smell used to look like rotten eggs. What the bad smell was related to rotten eggs. And after a thorough inspection, we discovered that the milk have undergone insufficient pasteurization, and furthermore, that the collection and transportation of the milk did not meet the hygienic standards as established in, for example, in the first world countries, right? So, what was the solution? Well, we have to first test the milk. At the beginning, we tested we found out that the milk had E. coli inside, which and I'm told, hey, but this milk has E. coli. Are you using raw milk? No, I am pasteurizing the milk. Yeah, but your milk has E. coli, which told me that the milk wasn't pasteurized correctly. Okay, and then we established new protocols into her system, into her food control plan, to monitor that the and to be 100% sure that the milk was correctly pasteurized. And then we mitigate this variable, and she carried on with the process, and no, the machines are getting fine now. Okay, so we solved the problem. In this case, it was only one problem. Okay, the another case was about related to cross contamination. Okay, and it was I don't remember what country was this guy, but her name was George in English, right? And he used to make artisanal cheeses in a small factory, okay? And he shared, his factory was at home, and he used to use the same equipment to make his own food and to make cheese. And then he had the same problem. The cheeses were smelling not to rotten eggs, but the cheeses were smelling bad, and the cheeses were blowing like a balloon. So but the odor was really weird. Okay, and well, in this case, we knew that the cheeses were making the same with the same gear, with the same equipment. We stopped that. We told no, you need to make cheese with your own equipment only to make cheese, and you make and the food that you cook at home, you have to cook it with your own pot. Do not mix anything. We also, in this case, by that time we also assessed if they were using any type of timber, because they don't we the timber can trap bacteria inside into the fibers of the timber of the wood. So we also check that, and we also control the process through lab tests. And to make the story short, we could mitigate the procedure, and the cheese didn't smell bad anymore. Okay, and the last case was Anna. Okay, it's another cheese entrepreneur that contact us to have how do you say, to, looking for advice, looking for consultancy, and we noticed that her cheeses, after a prolonged ripening period, develop a musty odor, and sometimes even a hint of how do you say, yeah, the odors were really weird. Okay, and we find out that the cheese cave that she was using were really crap, all dirty, dust. And we made a swab test into the cheese cave, and we found how do you call Streptococcus aureus a lot. So we have to establish cleaning protocol into the chamber by that time. And when we established all that, we tested again. We made a new batch, and the cheeses and the test passed. So and we could solve this problem. Okay. So as I said, it's very important that to keep in mind that of smells in home made cheeses and also in commercial cheeses is not always the result of a single factor. Okay, sometimes sometimes it is because of the combination of several factors or several causes. Okay, that interact together and in a complex way. From the quality of the raw milk or raw materials, because I'm talking about also cultures and stuff. And pasteurization practices to the dosage of cultures, pH control, and hygiene and environmental condition, for example, every detail within the cheese making process is crucial. And if you don't control it, it will affect the formation of undesirable aromas. Okay, so this is something that you need to remember. Okay, this is very important for you guys to remember that. In conclusion, in summary, these unpleasant flavors, these unpleasant aromas, these unpleasant aromas in homemade cheeses and commercial cheeses can have multiple origins, okay? And these origins must be controlled accordingly, okay? Each part should be monitored. Each part should be properly documented within your control plan. If you keep all these protocols under control, monitor by lab tests, I assure you that your cheeses will smell fine, will smell according to the profile of the cheese that you are making. For example, if you're making a revolution cheese is a cheese that smells a lot. But this is normal in this cheese. It's just if you are making a cheese, for example, with cow's milk, with sheep milk. Sheep milk has a lot of fat, and because it has a lot of fat, it expels a lot of aromas, but also a lot of flavor. But the flavors and the aromas are pleasant to the palate. So you have to. It is normal. Now, if you see that, or if you notice that this aroma is different to the sensorial profile of the cheese, now there is a problem, and you need to mitigate it quickly. Okay. Well, this is how the aromas affect the cheeses. I hope you like this presentation. Okay, and remember, it's in English. Okay. I have some comments here. Some of them are in English, some of them are in Spanish. I'm going to answer the one in English. I like tiene piña colada. This is a Pascual Cueva. All right, no problem. Okay, thank you all for coming. I really appreciate it. Let me see if I have questions in Instagram. I have all of them are in Spanish. Okay. I encourage you guys to go to the YouTube show, in Spanish at 11:30. Okay, this is only for English. Okay, doesn't matter. This video will be recorded and will be in the channel after the show, and I'll encourage you to come next time. This will be here next week, and if you want to learn how to make cheese, you're in the right place. Okay, see you next week, and bye-bye.
In the lab, with a twist of fate, the cheese doctor's here. It's never too late. With a wheel of brie and cheddar so fine, he knows every flavor, every design. He's got the cures for every craving, from creamy goat cheese to sharp and amazing. No lactose, no problem. He's got the fix